I know you understand pressure. I can't imagine the pressure that you have to perform under, especially like a Super Bowl. So how do you stay present? How do you stay focused in with everything going on, the fans? I mean, talk about how you stay so focused.
You know, the best advice that I got as a young player was to treat practice like a game. I mean, to create those intense situations during practice, right, during the course of the week. So on Sunday afternoon or whenever that big moment is, you're not overwhelmed by the moment. You actually can thrive in the moment. And look, you know, at practice, I mean, you can always say, well, it's not the real thing, it's a practice. But if you have the intensity up, if the coaches have the edge, we always had crowd noise kind of being piped in via speakers. You had a clock. We had a 2-minute drill. We put the scoreboard up there. I mean, there was kind of a winner or loser, offense or defense, kind of every day in practice. And when you have that scoreboard up there, it doesn't lie, right? And there's a clear winner every day. And so we were trying to win the day. You know, it was very competitive. And so when we got out there on Sunday, also because of the preparation, Robin, I didn't feel overwhelmed by it. And you put all that pressure on yourself in practice, that helps you in the game. And so when you get to the Super Bowl, the biggest game, the game that every player is trying to make, you know, you're trying to do those same things that you've been doing all season. I think the biggest mistake people make in that kind of mecca moment is to try to do something different that they've been doing all season that helped them get to that point. They say, oh no, it's the Super Bowl. I got to play different. We got to run all these different plays and we can't do the same things. And you see them, they're not comfortable. They don't go out there and execute. So, you know, do the things you've been doing all season that got you to that point, and go out. The competition's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, but there's a reason that you're there in that moment because you've had great success. Keep doing those things.
Absolutely, right. So let's talk about leadership for a minute. How should a quarterback think about leadership, and how does your approach change when you're winning versus when you're losing? That's
a great question. You know, leadership, you know, I miss those plane rides. I miss being in that huddle, right? You're in that huddle. There's 11 people in that huddle, and the quarterback's kind of in charge of that huddle. There's kind of a saying, hey, when the quarterback comes in, all the talking stops, and let's focus in on what the play he's calling. And I learned my first lesson in leadership in a very embarrassing fashion. The first time I ran into the huddle when I was a freshman in college, my very first game, we're playing against UCLA, 100,000 people in the stands, games on national TV. I'm just kind of happy to be in the stadium, not expecting to play at all in the game. Starting quarterback gets hurt, tears his knee, he's out for the year. Our team's getting beat, not in a good mood. Coach comes to me and says, Peyton, your turn to go in. And boy, I didn't think I was nervous. Looked down, all the hair on my arms is sticking straight up. So I'm jogging into that huddle for the very first time. I remember something my dad told me. He said, son, if you ever get into that huddle with the starters at any point in the season, it's going to be in the fourth quarter of a blowout. It's going to be in practice. Don't worry about it. But when it happens, you be the leader and you take control of that huddle. That's your job as a quarterback. These seniors are 21, 22. You're just 18. You be the leader and you take control of that huddle. So I remembered old Dad's advice. I get in that huddle. I said, all right, guys, I know I'm just a freshman. I can take us down the field right now, get us a touchdown, get us back in this game. Let's go. Big left tackle, about 6'5", 330 pounds, grabs me by the shoulder and says, hey, freshman, shut the blank up and call the blank and play. And I said, yes, sir. It was really good advice from my dad. I really appreciated that. It was an embarrassing moment, humbling moment, but it just taught me such a valuable lesson. These teammates of mine didn't want to be talked to until I had walked, if you will, till I had earned their respect. Mm-hmm. Leadership isn't handed to you with a title. Quarterback, CEO, manager, president. You have to earn the mantle of leadership. And leadership, if you boil it down to its true essentials, is really the ability to influence others. If you can't influence a team, it's awfully hard to lead that team. So clearly in that huddle, I was not influential, and my attempt at leadership was an epic failure. But people who cultivate their ability to influence, they grow, and they learn to manage hardships as well as success. And so I applied, basically I didn't say another word in that huddle the rest of the season, but I tried to be out there early, last one to leave, took responsibility for my play. Slowly I earned more of a platform with my teammates to be more of a vocal leader. And I applied that when I got to Indianapolis. as a highly touted rookie draft choice coming in. I called it silent leadership, just going to work, letting these guys know I'm right in this thing with you. I'm going to outwork all of you. I'm going to be right in here with you. And slowly you earn that platform. Even when I got to Denver, I'd played for a long time, but I hadn't played with these new coworkers and teammates. I needed to earn their respect before you become a vocal leader. So earn the trust, earn the respect of the people that are on your team. It's not something that can be rushed, and that helps you. And look, leading when winning, leading when losing, both have challenges. When you're winning, everything's good, right? Business is good. You're winning a lot of games. Food tastes better. Everything's just good when business is good. But you also realize that everybody's coming after you. I mean, you got a target on your back, and people, the competition is going to try to step their level of play to catch you. What are you going to do to stay ahead? In football, there's a bulletin board in the locker room, and we were always looking to put bulletin board materials, something that the other team said about us that would motivate us, right? And when you're playing well, other teams were kind of saying nice things, and that's the worst thing because you start believing it. So we used to just make up quotes that the other team said about us, and we put it on the bulletin board. The guy's like, he said that? I'm going to knock him. And it worked. So I guess my point is be creative. Create an edge, but don't get too comfortable and complacent. Otherwise, the competition is going to catch up on you. When you're losing, hey, that's when you find out what you're made of. It's when you find out what kind of team you got, character of your team. When you find out who the rats are on your team, as an old coach used to say, who's going to jump ship, or who's going to stay right in here with us and try to dig ourselves out of this hole. It's good to go through adversity as a team, as a group, as a company, because you find out about the character of your team. And so certainly both have challenges, but both are great opportunities to lead.
Absolutely, great. And so you're also known for calling audibles, which is a change in the play at the line of scrimmage, for those of you who don't know. When you get down there, were you just doing it because you felt like it? Were you doing it because you saw something? Or was it pure instinct?
Yeah, I think calling an audible, making a change in whatever it is you're doing, I think instincts and courage, guts are certainly a part of it. But I think it boils down to kind of what we talked about earlier is just dogged preparation. Every audible I ever called, it kind of looked spontaneous or frantic on TV, but every audible I ever called, we practiced it. We talked about it. We said, hey, if the defense ever does this, this is what I'm going to audible to, right? It might be this week, might be the end of the season, it might not be till next year, but when they do this, this is what we're going to. Everybody on board, everybody okay, speak up. Everybody like that? Okay, that's the plan. And when that situation came about, we audibled full speed ahead, and everybody was on board. Now look, I called a lot of audibles that didn't work, and I felt bad about it. And you kind of have this conversation, should I have stayed with the original plan? My coaches always said, no, that's what we talked about. We didn't execute it like we should have. Keep going full speed ahead. And that's how it's got to be. Everybody's got to be on the same page. But I think if you don't have a plan for what might be coming down the road, I don't think you're adequately prepared. We were never out there just winging it, right? Winging it is not a good idea in any field. So have a plan, talk about what we're going to do if this situation arises, and when it comes about, you go to it. So it boils down to preparation.
Right. And you mentioned one earlier, I think Omaha. What does that mean?
So Omaha was this word we called when we were calling those audibles at the line of scrimmage. And I guess, Robin, the first thing I should tell you, the reason you can even hear what's being said on an NFL field is about 7 years ago, the NFL turned these sidelines microphones up louder to bring television viewers at home closer to the game. So you can hear the hits and you can hear all the action. And it's great for the viewer at home. It's not so great for the quarterbacks because we found out that defenses were watching the television copies of the game and picking up on all of our offensive verbiage and information. And it was a real advantage to them. And I would go to the broadcasters and I'd go, guys, the defenses know exactly what plays we're calling because they're getting the TV copy. Can you turn those microphones down? They go, no, we love hearing all the hits. And, my one regret of all the years playing, those broadcasters, Jim Nance and Chris Collinsworth, to get up there under center during a game and instead of calling Omaha, go, blue 20, Jim Nance is a no good, you-know-what, son of a mother. I think they would have turned those microphones down. So Never had the guts to do it, Robin. I knew there was going to be a big fine coming from the commissioner. I wanted like Eli or Brady or Rodgers to do it to kind of see what would have happened. So that's why you can even hear what's being said. Omaha was simply a trigger word. It was an indicator word that we came up with that meant we've gone from plan A to plan B. There's just a few seconds on the clock and the ball needs to be snapped now. It was a rhythmic 3-syllable word, Omaha, that told my teammates, oh, we're going to plan B and the ball's coming out now. And all I can tell you, Robin, is I am a big deal in Omaha, Nebraska now.
No doubt.
I went there 2 years ago. I got the key to the city.
Oh, wow.
Got some steaks out of the deal.
All right, nice.
Yeah, worked out okay.
Okay, so there's times when I think everybody in business in their professional life, they get just a devastating blow, something that comes out of nowhere. And I know that you had that happen to you. So when you had your injury and you woke up from surgery and I can't imagine, you just wake up from surgery and you try to push yourself up and your arm buckles.
Right.
I mean, how did you feel like at that moment?
You know, I had this unbelievable string of health my entire career, high school, college, NFL, my first 14 years. Never had to miss a game due to injury. All of a sudden, in one off season, I had to have 3 neck surgeries to try to fix basically a herniated disc, and got my neck finally fixed. And the doctors kind of cleared me, and hey, you're safe to play. If you were my own son, I'd let you play as far as your neck. But the problem is, like Robin said, it caused nerve damage in my right arm and my right hand. And if only I was amphibious, I could have thrown left handed. But it's too late for that. But it was the greatest form of professional adversity that I had been through. I kind of lost my awareness of my arm in space. I kind of had a proprioception issue where I was throwing a pass to you and it was going over there to you, which was kind of concerning, right? And so I kind of had to learn to throw all over again. I think when you go through adversity, it really is a test to see if you're going to pass that test. And I tried to have a good attitude about it. I think that's the best way to approach it. I think that kind of helped in my healing process. And it was tough, though. Our team was losing, and I just said, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know why this is happening. I'm going to try to have a good attitude about it. I started making some progress. I had to find the new team to play for, and I really wanted to be a good player for this new team. But I basically came to the conclusion, Robin, that I couldn't play quarterback the same way that I had earlier in my career. I had to learn to play in a new physical state. I'm sure we got some baseball fans out here. To use a baseball analogy, I couldn't throw the 100-mile-an-hour fastball anymore, but I could still work the outside edges of the plate, and you can still strike a guy out that way. So I still learned to use my attitude, my football intellect, to kind of remain an effective quarterback and to still, as they say in football, move the chains down the field. And that line of thinking of being flexible, learning a new system when I went to Denver, learning these new corporate culture, these new plays, buying into their system, that flexibility and that kind of not being stubborn allowed me to play 4 more years and luckily be a part of another championship team. So I think going in a strange way, I'm almost glad that I went through that adversity.
How did you get better? I mean,
So-
you used it to get better.
Yeah, basically, I could have said, hey, I had a long career, I played a long time and had this injury, but, once again, it was a test to see if I could still kind of play a different way. And like I said, when you go to a new team and that motivates you because people are counting on you. And whenever you go through adversity, don't try to do it alone. Now, I had doctors and teammates and family and coaches supporting me and giving me feedback, and that certainly helped me recover, throughout that season.
Okay. Who are your favorite players to play against and why?
I had so many great teammates that I played with, and had some great games against, so many great players. All these guys that I played with seems like they're all getting inducted into the Hall of Fame right now. The toughest defensive player that I ever played against, and the guy that hit me the hardest and the most often, was the great linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis. When he retired, it was like the greatest day of my life. I sent flowers to his press conference, stay retired, don't come back. But he was so big and strong, and he was smart, and he was instinctive, and felt like he always kind of knew the plays we were running. So anytime he'd hit me, it's like he always had a running start. And when he'd hit me, Robin, it's kind of like he'd drive me into the ground, and it's kind of like he'd always use me to help him get up, you know, and whisper in my ear, "I'll be back here in a couple minutes, punk," you know. Very, very friendly guy. The All-Star game in the NFL is called the Pro Bowl, and it's changed in recent years, but it used to be in Hawaii after the season, and it was a celebration of your season. All players go over there and celebrate. Relaxing week, and man, I wasn't over there relaxing. I played in 12 Pro Bowls, and Ray Lewis was my teammate. We were on the same team. I was over there working. I was buying Ray Lewis his dinner, his drinks. I bought him golf clubs one year, you know, kind of hoping he might not hit me as hard come next October, but he never seemed to remember.
No, it didn't work. Okay. So you have a ton of fans. People love you. There's no doubt about it. But like any public figure, you've got critics.
Sure.
And I know you're an intense competitor. I know you care a lot. I mean, but you held back. You didn't trash talk. You were very respectful. I mean, talk about, because I think all of us at some point just feel like giving somebody a piece of our mind.
True.
How do you control that, your emotions, your reactions?
I mean, look, I'm not saying I never did it, but for the most part, you know, I always felt like out there during a game, I always believed in having respect for the game, respect, you know, for your teammates, your coaches, you know, you're taking coaching, respecting the authority levels, respecting the opponent, the coaches, the referees. I remember one time we played this game, and this referee he made the worst call I'd ever seen before, and I snapped. I let him have it, and I felt so bad because I knew the guy. He and I had kind of been in the NFL for the same time. We were both like in our 12th year, and I absolutely let him have it, and I felt so bad right after that I called the Broncos PR, and I said, "Will you call the NFL and get his address? I want to write him an apology letter," and the NFL would not give me his address. They thought I was going to go to his house and like blow it up. And I was like, "No, I want to apologize." Like, nobody apologizes to a referee, right? There's no way. So, you know, I'm not saying I didn't do it, but for the most part, you know, you try to have respect for the game. I also always just felt like after, you know, look, if you throw a touchdown to win a game, you're going to go celebrate with your teammates, right? And that's the moment that you kind of remember. But if you threw a touchdown in the middle of a game, I always felt there was something else that you needed, that had to be done. Like, you don't have time to go out there and taunt and trash talk. Hey, go high five your teammate and then get over to the sideline and talk about how we got to throw another one the next time we get them. I always felt like it was a waste of time. And I always felt, you know, some of the smarter players would try to lure you in and get you distracted and get you to, you know, he's talking to me, he's worried about me, he's not thinking about what plays he's going to call. So, you know, like I said, it's so competitive out there, you don't want to give them any type of advantage. So, you know, it's a test, and I'm not saying that, I never engaged in it, but I think your mindset going in is, hey, I have a job to do. Our job is to go out there and win this game, and nothing that you do to entice me is going to get me off track.
Yeah, and I respect, because I know you care a lot, and you work so hard, and you prepare, and then you get that. So
that's right.
I really do respect that. And so the next question I want to talk to you about is managing expectations of those around you. Because you mentioned it earlier, that one of the reasons that led you to be, your drive, your passion to be great, is you don't want to let others down. But
sure.
At the same time, people may have unreasonable expectations, and you've got different people. Talk about how you manage all that.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tough. I mean, all you can do is the very best you can do you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm doing my very best, and then do what your superior is asking you to do. You know, what is your role on the team? You know, what I love about football is that everybody has a role to play. And, you know, the equipment manager behind the scene, the video director, right? TV is never going to show those people. They have thankless jobs. Coaches or players only come to them when they need something. They never say thank. They just say, hey, I need this, I need that. But I'm telling you, their role is just as important as the star running back. And everybody has a role to play. I always love when you watch the team win the Super Bowl, what happens? You know, they usually have the coach or the MVP stands up and holds that trophy, and the next moment he hands it down to the teammates on the field, and they pass it down the line. Every member of the team gets to put their imprint on that symbol of the collective efforts, and it really kind of validates something monumental. And so it's just a great moment. And so, you know, people are counting on you, like I said, to do your job, but all you can do is your very best and do your role. You know, the NFL draft's coming up in a couple of months, and I remember I got drafted just over 20 years ago. And I remember when I got drafted that day, somebody in the media asked me, Peyton, you're the first pick of the draft, you know, you're about to make all this money. What are you going to do with the money? And I think it's a bad question. It sets guys up for kind of silly answers. I remember they asked me that 20 years ago, so what are you going to do with this money? I said, I'm going to try to earn it. You know, I'm going to go out there and earn it. And I think that kind of is all you can ask yourself is, are you giving whoever hired you their ROI? I wanted to give the owner of the Colts his ROI, return on his investment, that, hey, thank you for drafting me, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to try to, you know, make you happy with that decision. So